is Notsam Wrestling.
Introducing your host from New York, here is Sam Roberts.
So, this week, and I love that you guys, every time WWE puts out a top 5 list now, I get messages saying, please talk about this on the podcast. We did it with the betrayals. We did it with I think it was the best factions. We did, WWE put out top 5 greatest factions. I tore that to shreds and did my own. Top 5 greatest betrayals. Tore that to shreds, did my own. This time, WWE on their Instagram account put out the 5 greatest Survivor Series tag teams ever. And I'll tell you who they are right now. Number 5, this is WWE's list, is the Hulkamaniacs from 1989. Great team. Demolition, Jake the Snake Roberts, and Hulk Hogan. Awesome. Team number 4, Team SmackDown from 2005. That's Bobby Lashley, Randy Orton, Rey Mysterio, Batista, JBL. Major star power. I mean, the guys on that, out of all of them, other than JBL, they can all still go, and 3 of them are on the active roster right now. And this is from 2005. I mean, that's pretty amazing. Team number 3, the Ultimate Warriors, which is the Ultimate Warrior, obviously, Texas Tornado, and the Legion of Doom, Hawk and Animal. That's an amazing team as well. That is the 90s, whereas the Hulkamaniacs with Demolition and Jake Roberts and Hulk Hogan, that is 1989 good guys to a T. The Ultimate Warriors, where it's LOD, Ultimate Warrior, and Texas Tornado, that is 1990 good guys to a T. That is when they're trying to distance themselves from Hulk Hogan a little bit and really show this is what we've got. Number 2, we move way into the future from last year, 2017, Team Raw, Finn Balor, Triple H, Braun Strowman, Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe. Awesome team. The names on that team, my God, awesome team. And the number 1 greatest Survivor Series team of all time is Team WWE from 2001, which is Kane, Undertaker, Big Show, Rock, Jericho. Hard to argue with that one. That list is actually not bad. That list is less egregious than either of the 2 lists that came before it. But that didn't stop me from making my own list. I decided to re-rank and redo the top 5 Survivor Series teams of all time. I swear to you, I went on today. I went through all Survivor Series teams ever. All of them. Year by year, there's been 100, almost 160 or something like that. 155 maybe. And I went through all of them, and I came up with my own top 5. Let me know what you think about this, because this is where I stand on it, okay? Team number 5. Team number 5 is not on WWE's list at all. And I put team number 5 on my list, and this is the only one where we kind of have to explain it. It's not because the team is so great, but it's because of how important this moment is. That if this team hadn't existed, we wouldn't have gotten this moment, and it would have changed the legacy of who is, to me, maybe the greatest WWE superstar of all time. We go through the list. My favorite wrestler is either Stone Cold or Macho Man. The best wrestler is probably Shawn Michaels. The greatest WWE superstar of all time, that's another list that we're going to have to make at some point, is probably the man who debuted on this team in 1990. He was a part of the $1 Million Team. It was Ted DiBiase, Greg the Hammer Valentine, Honky Tonk Man, that's Rhythm and Blues, and The Undertaker. The Undertaker's debut is one of the most important things to ever happen in WWE. I don't think that it is at all fair to talk about the greatest Survivor Series teams of all time without mentioning the team that The Undertaker debuted on. And for that reason, the $1 Million Team from 1990 Survivor Series is my number 5 greatest team ever, simply because of the debut of The Undertaker. And I will fight that point, and we can argue it all you want. but I 100% stand by it. Number 4, this is a team that was also not on WWE's list. Number 4 is from 1994. And 1994 is, it's a bit of a weird year. 93, 94, 95, not the WWE's finest hour. But if you look at the team that is in 1994, this is one of, if not the best bad guy team ever assembled, in my personal opinion. And that's not just because they're monster heels. It's just, there are very few teams that have this much talent on it and this many people that will become big forces in wrestling, arguably forever. The Teamsters is my number 4 team. 1994's Survivor Series team called the Teamsters is my number 4 team. The Teamsters are consisting of Jim the Anvil Neidhart, Owen Hart, Big Daddy Cool Diesel, Jeff Jarrett, and Shawn Michaels. So you've got the Anvil, you've got Owen, you've got Jeff Jarrett, Double J, you've got HBK, and you've got Diesel. 5 of the best heels of all time. Certainly those 4 you cannot argue are 4 of the best superstars of all time. I'm talking about Owen, Shawn, Diesel, and Jeff Jarrett. Not to put the Anvil out, but those are anybody who's making a top whatever list of superstars. Those are 4 of the greats. And as I'm looking through teams, I'm like, I don't know why more people aren't talking about this team. This wasn't even a main event match. These guys wrestled like either first or second or something like that. But these are the people, think about it. Jeff Jarrett is just going to go on to skyrocket. Owen Hart, God rest his soul, is going to be remembered as one of the greatest of all time. This is Survivor Series 94. By WrestleMania, it's going to be Shawn and Diesel in the main event. This is 2 or 3 days. 2 or 3 days after this show, we would go to Madison Square Garden where Diesel would beat Bob Backlund in 8 seconds and become the WWE champion, okay? 3 days after this show is when the WWE officially started running on Diesel power. And let me tell you something. I had the gloves. I had the sunglasses. I had all the shirts. I was a Big Daddy Cool fan. Big Daddy Cool, of course, would lead to the rise of Shawn Michaels. Diesel would go on to be in the NWO. The whole thing. Anvil, Owen, Diesel, Shawn, Jeff Jarrett, the Teamsters from 1994. The number 3 team that is on my list also, and this one was kind of surprising, also does not appear on WWE's top 5 list, but I had to go through every team to make sure. But this team has always stuck out to me as one of the coolest teams ever. This time, we went from 90 to 94. Now we're going all the way to 2006. And it's Team DX from Survivor Series 2006. That's Matt and Jeff Hardy, DX, Shawn Michaels and Triple H, and CM Punk. It's tough to think of a better squad of good guys, especially in the 2000s, than that group. Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, CM Punk. CM Punk is on the rise. The Hardy Boys are, Jeff Hardy's at his peak. You could argue Matt Hardy might be too. Triple H and Shawn are not over the hill, but it's that second incarnation of DX, with the Spirit Squad stuff and the Rooster t-shirt and everything and the glow sticks. And I just, I think that team is one of the best teams assembled as far as good guys go. That is a legendary team. Now, some of the teams that are not on my list, we've only got 2 teams left, but some of the teams that definitely ranked and were in my head conversation for possible best teams. Team Guerrero from 2004, which is John Cena, Big Show, Rob Van Dam, and Eddie Guerrero. What an amazing team. Team WWE from 2001. WWE ranked that as their number 1. It was on my list. It didn't make my top 5. The Warriors was also on my list. Didn't make my top 5. Team Triple H from 2007. Triple H, Rey Mysterio, Kane, Jeff Hardy. Team Batista from 2008. Batista, Punk, R-Truth, Kofi Kingston, Matt Hardy. You've got a huge mix there of past and present coming together. Those are some of the teams that did not make my list, but were certainly in contention for it. Team number two. Number two on my list is Team Raw from 2016. So WWE's number two greatest Survivor Series team of all time was Team Raw 2017. That's Finn Balor, Triple H, Braun Strowman, Samoa Joe, and Kurt Angle. I picked 2016 because 2016 is one of the best collections of current talent that's on a roster ever. This really lets you know how high the bar was for Monday Night Raw in 2016. When you look at 2017, that team's amazing. That team is legendary. But you have Triple H added to it, who is, the authority figure, but not an active participant on the roster. And you have Kurt Angle, who's like making his return. He had made his return, I think, a month before that, to return with the Shield, but this was his big return. So really, it was Finn Balor, Braun Strowman, and Samoa Joe from Raw that were the active people. And that part of that is because the title holders by then were doing the champion versus champion thing, which they weren't doing in 2016. So 2016 had that advantage. But listen to this team from Team Raw 2016, and I think people forget about how amazing this team is. The Universal Champion at the time, Kevin Owens. Chris Jericho. Braun Strowman. Seth Rollins. And Roman Reigns. I can't think of a team comprised of more current main event people ever than that team. Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and Braun Strowman. I mean, that is, if that doesn't tell you the type of talent that Raw had in 2016, I don't know what does. And by the way, save for Jericho, those guys are all still on the main roster. Obviously Roman Reigns is going through what Roman Reigns is going through, but you know what I'm saying. So that is my number two team. My number one team was WWE's number 5 team. My number one team is from 1989, and that's the Hulkamaniacs. Hulk Hogan, Jake the Snake Roberts, and Demolition. Look, that team to me defined the late 80s. You go, every piece of WWE merchandise you look at from that era was either Demolition, Jake the Snake, or Hulk Hogan. Everywhere you look, they were there. It was an amazing time, and there aren't many people that could argue the impact that those guys were making. I mean, it was incredible. Incredible. And I just think 1989 is such an important time for WWE. And like the team from 2016, that was the most main event talent. The team from 1989, Jake, Hogan, Demolition, that's all good guys, right? Those are the top good guys at the time. Jake eventually would become a bad guy. Demolition would shortly after this become bad guys again. But these are all good guys in this moment. Fans are going nuts for them. That to me, the Hulkamaniacs from 1989 is the number one Survivor Series team of all time. So my list, number 5 is the $1 Million Team from 1990, Rhythm and Blues, Ted DiBiase, Undertaker. Number 4 is the Teamsters from 1994, Jim Neidhart, Owen Hart, Diesel, Shawn Michaels, and Jeff Jarrett. Oh, I love that team. Number 3, 2006, I love this one too, is Team DX, Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and CM Punk. My God. Number 2 is Team Raw from 2016, Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and Braun Strowman. And number 1 is the Hulkamaniacs, Hulk Hogan, Jake the Snake Roberts, Axe, and Smash of Demolition. Man, these are great teams. Those are 5 fabulous teams. I don't know how you can argue them. If you can, hit me up on Twitter and everything, and we'll have the conversation.